Have you ever had a bad hair day? I mean a really, really bad hair day? Where every hair on your head is out of place, the tangles, snarls, wadded mass. Yeah, me too. Seriously, we all have bad hair days. Oh crap, I lost my place. Oh, and one thing that helps...
Essy, are you ready for your speech today?
Yeah, I got all my cards. Is this your nightmare? Well, we have 15, count them, 15 solutions for your problem. Here's my first tip. Don't think that you can just write everything out on your note cards and just come up here and read it. You actually need to practice, and that's not how you use a note card correctly. Here's tip number 2. Look where I am. I'm behind a podium. Now, podiums often restrict your body movement, and your body is not meant to just stand in one place. It can make you even more nervous. You end up grabbing onto the podium a lot, and oftentimes you forget to breathe. So you have to be careful and, move away from the podium. Tip number 3. You may think you're crazy, and people around you might think you're crazy, but it is a good idea. Sometimes you just need to talk yourself through writing out your speech. You need to hear it. You need to make sure it sounds good. Have you ever had a bad hair day? Have you ever had a bad hair day? That's good. Tip number 4. I've written out my entire speech, and now I'm going to practice it probably no more than 3 times to make sure that it is in the correct time limit, adding or cutting content as I need to. You just want to go through it. It's kind of like your sloppy copy. Just go through it so that you know, you have a general idea and you know the content, but don't memorize it. Tip number 5. I am going to go through my speech now and just work on parts of my speech, like the introduction, the quotes, all those kinds of things. Just work on separate pieces of your speech so that you're not so intimidated trying to go through the entire speech, not memorizing it, but just going through and working with the content. Tip number 6 is using note cards. Now, I've written a lot of my introduction on this note card, and really you don't want to deliver your speech with the note card. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've practiced with this note card, and the idea is more or less words as you go on. So then I practiced with this one. I've cut some stuff out, and I'm working more with concepts instead of reading off of my note cards. And then, after I got comfortable with that, I narrowed it down to just a couple. And pretty soon, I should be able to not have to use the notes at all, or maybe just one. So, tip number 7, concepts, not words. You need to not fall in love with just one word. You need to be planned, not canned. And what we mean by this is, you may have planned to say brilliant, and instead what she said is amazing. That's okay. You need to keep your speech conversational. We call this extemporaneous speaking. Tip number 8, making citations easy. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You may be sitting there really nervous thinking, oh man, I just can't remember this source I'm supposed to cite, and you may be really worried about it. Well, here's a little trick. You can put it on your PowerPoint. Don't read your whole PowerPoint. Don't read off your notes. Just put your source on your PowerPoint and then just glance at it. Tip number 9. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on PowerPoint. Now, just because I said you could cite your source on your PowerPoint doesn't mean you can use your PowerPoint as a note card. or even a manuscript, and you've seen them before. So what you need to do is probably not more than 5 words across and 5 words down. You need to keep it brief. Tip number 10. Now I've told you that PowerPoints are not to be used as note cards, but you need to think of them more as a visual aid and use the common sense tips for visual aids, like not talking to it, and when you're not using it, like don't leave the words up on the screen. Use a blank screen. And here's a little tip. Using a black background will make it so if you stand in front of it, it won't shine in your eyes like a deer in the headlights. Tip number 11. Always have a backup. Now, this is just one more tip on PowerPoints. They don't always work, but you need to be ready to ditch them just like any other visual aid and have a backup. This actually really happened to me in a public speaking class I did take, and I didn't have a backup. So remember to use your email and always have an extra. Tip number 12 is movements. You need to practice and plan out your movements before you do your speech, because when you get up to do your speech, you are going to be very nervous and you're either going to stand very, very still or you are going to fidget a lot and do some weird stuff. So you gotta plan for them beforehand. As a matter of fact, I can show you a good example of this in a transition of mine. Now that I've shown you some tangles that I've been through in my life, I'm sure you're wondering how I straighten them out. One more thing. When you're moving, you're breathing. And breathing is good. Tip number 13. Practice in the mirror. When you practice in the mirror, you can practice your general movements and, in this case, your facial expressions. Have you ever had a bad hair day? I mean a really, really bad hair day? Where every hair on your head is out of place? The tangles, snarls, matted mess? Yeah, me too. Have you ever had a bad hair day? No. I mean a really, really bad hair day. Where every hair on your head is out of place, the tangles, snarls, matted mess? Yeah, me too. What do you think?
I've never really had a bad hair day, so I don't know.
Here's tip number 14. Find a friend who doesn't talk back. Have you ever had a bad hair day? I mean a really, really bad hair day. Where every hair on your head is out of place, the tangles, the snarls, the matted mess? Yeah, me too. Oh. So again, tip 14, practice in front of supportive friends. And my last tip, don't over practice. You've done all the work, you've practiced, now just relax. It's your speech. It's just a speech. And, you know, confidence really does sell. And if all else fails, fake it till you make it.